Okay, so 636 on the third, which I think is kind of cool because it's 6363. So, and sometimes it's curious, like when the video ends. Sometimes it has the same numbers ending as when I started. So I always find that kind of curious. But anyways, the let's see, there was a few things I was going to talk about. Last night was so crazy too in the dream world. It was so weird. God, some nights it's just so weird. But last night was weird as fuck. I don't even know where to go with that, so it was just weird as fuck. And it was all over the place too. But the which I'm telling you, I really keep seeing it just getting darker and darker. I really don't see it turning orange, but anyways, it just trips me out because I thought it would all be by, I mean, I've been trying so many things. And then it's just as weird as like putting my hand in my pocket to see what's in there. And it's these two missing things that, for my shelf thing. So that's what it's, kind of reminds me of like, this unexpected thing. Like, who would think, like, I would move in and then this, well, would be, have a extreme amount of this certain stuff in that I just so happen to be deficient in. If this all turns, then that is definitely going to show a deficiency in that, which that is a big one as people age, a big missing mineral in people. That's why they got so many people on oral taking it, which my brother, he said I should go get the water tested and see what all is in it, and see if it is drinkable. And because, I mean, there's people who orally take that stuff, and that is, it does have a smell to it, just like how blood smells because the iron content. So the water has a tone, a smell. But but anyways, I'm thinking I will go take the water probably when I go to the store again, which I did hear yesterday. So I feel like I just can't get to my breath. Feels intense. Oh yeah, that was the fucking craziest part of last night, was when I was trying to go to bed. Oh my God, it was so insane. I have looked this morning, haven't seen anything about the Schumann, but I did see some things yesterday about these big mass coronal ejections happening, where some of them are as big as the Carrington event, which all these people kept talking about that, so I went and looked it up, which was a big solar event that happened from a mass solar ejection, which, how were they registering this in 1857 or something? It's like, what in the hell with this place? What? I am so, I mean, that was something I went through my whole life. Never heard anything about mass coronal ejections until, never heard anything about the Schumann resonance, never heard any of this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, there's they were registering this back in the 1800s. Okay. So anyways, but so I heard that there was these big ejections happening, and that and I guess the Carrington was, I don't know, you can go look it up, what all went down, but it was bad. And I don't know, I mean, did they even, what the whole thing is just like, what? I don't know. But anyways, I don't know, it's just what? It is like, do they just freaking leak this crazy shit out? Like, I don't fucking know. If you're not there, you don't know. That's what I say about it. And but when I was going to bed, I was there. And it was the weirdest thing. And I don't even know how to explain it. I kept trying to figure it out, what was happening. But it was like I would be laying there trying to go to sleep. And it was like my energy or something in my body was like trying to do somersaults or flip. And it kept being like this startle. And I could feel myself flipping and flipping and flipping. and it wouldn't stop for hours. And it was like, oh my God, this is the craziest thing. This is so fucking uncomfortable. What the fuck is going on? And then I was like, okay, it's got to be something with this energy thing. And then I heard in my head, what was the word? It was, maybe it was integration, and it's weird how you can hear something in your head and then you try and say it. It's like, what? How do you say that? Integration. And so it was like, it was like an energy integrating or something, but it was intense, man. Oh my God. It felt like my energy, you know, like my orb inside of my vehicle was being plugged in and doing flips all around inside my body. I was like, this is insane. Oh my God. So that was crazy. And I thought, okay, I'm never going to get any sleep. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But finally I went to sleep. But then I went into the weirdest fucking world there is out there. It was like the weirdest shit going on. So anyways, this night's over. And now we've moved on to the day, the 3rd, which... okay, so what I have seen about some stuff, so I don't know what all went down about the dinar thing. I saw somebody who kept saying like things were going to change, and they were putting numbers together and all this stuff, saying last night at midnight, and because there it's a different day, and this number, and you take the 9 and the 1 1, and then you put it, you know, it's like all these people, these code breakers are just like, brr. It's like, I find it interesting, but anyways, I just know that this stuff is gonna happen. I don't know date and time, and we can sit here and try and figure it out and drive ourselves crazy trying to break codes and try and figure it out, but whatever is gonna happen is gonna happen. And it is kind of like, how much energy do you want to put in trying to figure out when it's gonna happen? Because it's like one of those things of like how the rapture, you know, you do not know the day and time this is going to happen. It's just like, and that's part of the soul's journey, is getting comfortable with not knowing and trusting. That's a big thing that is always coming loud in my head when I'm feeling certain things. It's just trust, trust. It's like, oh, okay. So, anyways, so I don't know. I mean, we can sit and try and figure it out, but I don't know that we can. And some people, they will try and figure it out, and they will be right. But, you know, what does that mean? Do you get a blue ribbon? Do you get extra? You just, it's what you are putting out comes back to you. So, anyways, but there was a whole bunch of, talk yesterday over things. And every time I go and I pay attention, like I tune in and watch the conference or the press conference or whatever, then it's always like, sometimes it's so redundant. And, but, so what I have heard is that, I've heard now it's $2,400. I don't fucking know what this payout thing is. But supposedly it's being sent out on the 7th, which I don't know. But I'd be really happy. It's like, yeah, that'd be good for me. Send me out $2,400 on the 7th. It's even before payday, so I can go to the store and stuff. So, so I don't know. But supposedly there was a bunch of talk though about, what is this guy's name? It's so weird. I can hear it in my head. He's a guy's name, a senator or governor or something. We hear his name all the fucking time. Starts with a W. Wise. And I don't know if he's one of these people that seem like, oh, is he a good guy or a bad guy? Is he a good guy or a bad guy? But it seems like, to me, he is aligned himself with the bad guy role. Like he's, he's like a Wheeler or a Newsom or... Well, we've changed off Inslee now. We have Ferguson, which there's a whole group trying to get him out. So there's, so I think he's one of these, and there's a whole bunch of them over on the east side, I don't know them all, but I hear his name a lot. But so in his place, it seems is Michigan, and it's this whole battle with the Somalians, which who knew? Who fucking knew that there was a whole freaking ton of these people from this one place that were all taking up residence in this one place? But apparently there is, and they were being used. There's also criminals involved too, but they were also being used as a beard, because everything is a fucking beard in this fucking place. Everybody's like, oh, here's a bush we can hide behind. And so in this case, what is being brought to the surface and being exposed is a bunch of fraud, and in the sense of, well, we're gonna all these grant monies. That's a big part of the laundry system, is this grant money, and which it just outrages me, because these shelters and the misspending it. It's like, you've got money to motherfucking feed these animals, and you are making choices. You have money to get bigger buildings. You have money to get more cages. You have money to do more, but you know, I'm sure your CEO's on a Mexican trip somewhere, or over in, you know, Puerto Rico, someplace having a good old time, while they're just mass murdering these fucking pets. It's like, it's outrageous. But so it's a big part of the laundry system, and that's what's being exposed. And DOGE was doing a big exposing of all this mishandling. But the mishandling continues to be exposed. And so this is what this, you know, the big Samoan culture is bringing to the surface, or something about. So they had, like, say, you know, they're getting 100,000, let's go bigger, $100 million, the feds, because that's the whole purpose behind having the Fed, is to siphon from us and then misspend it in all these other places. And so it's like, okay, well, we're going to take all this and then we're going to divvy it up into all of these grants that we got to give out, you know, because the homeless, I mean, they need $100 million billion over there. They need $100 million billion over there. And then the EBT, well, and we need $100 million billion over there. Oh, snap, we need $100 million billion over there. We need this, and, you know, because these poor people, you know. And so but what they're doing is they are manufacturing people to draw on that don't exist. So there's a big fraud being exposed. So it's like, I don't know, 75% of the recipients are made up. And so that's a big beard, you know, having, blame it on the immigrants. It's all them. So I don't know, but it's all shit being exposed. So that's a big thing that's being exposed. And oh, and this is another thing too, is I saw this woman from Australia yesterday, and she said, I don't know what's going on in America, but over here they are arresting pedos right and left. They're just arresting all these people, but they're also being KILLED'd. And she didn't say if they were being consequences for their actions through the superiors, or if they were by their cellies, so their cellmates are the ones that are doing it, or is it that you did, you know, I don't know. She didn't say that part, but she said they're taking them in and they're just going. But that was the whole thing that Donald had said in the EOs back in the first reign. He said, if you commit certain crimes, then the automatic response will be a squad that is a good shot. So anyways, that is, and that is one of the big crimes. If you, one of the things that was in it is if you commit a crime against a kid. And then, so then you have the group that is all anti-Donald. Oh my God, he's such a monster. Even though it is exposing all these freaking people with their fucking fraud and bullshit. And then you still have this Yahoo, whatever his name is, Wise or whatever his name is. He's still out there like, oh, well, Donald's doing it. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, how well is this distraction working for you? Oh, shut the fuck up, you fucking loser. And so the oh, because Donald, I guess, went on a rant the other day, and he was putting out one post after another saying stuff that this certain group thought sounded super crazy. Like, he's lost it. He's gone crazy. Well, you know, his dad has dementia, or had dementia. I think he's gone or something. So, well, you know, so he's probably got the dementia too. So then they put out this whole thing. Oh, he went and got an MRI. And then he was talking crazy like that and telling those reporters, oh, you're too stupid. They couldn't even, he's saying the rudest shit. But it's the kind of shit like, like, we don't know these relationships. We don't know what these certain people have said. And if we had an opportunity and someone was talking shit on us and we had an opportunity to tell them that we think they're stupid, well, we probably would do it. So that's what I see, is that he's not doing some crazy stuff. He's saying what he wants to say to these people. And they're getting it back, you know, for what they've been doing, talking nonsense on him and misleading the public. And so he, but it gives the other side this ammunition of like, see how crazy he is, and see they're doing this MRI on him and they're trying to find out what's wrong with him, and he doesn't even know what they're looking for and all that stuff. It's like they really, really want to believe that he is crazy and that he's an idiot and that he's a perv and all that stuff. It's like, you know, I don't know where your perspective and your focus is coming from, but as is the opportunity where people are going to get to look and reevaluate themselves and see, like, well, why was I thinking this, man? Because things are going to flip. They're going to flip hard. And so, yeah, I don't know what all is going, but yeah, he's it's just like this chaotic, crazy story. It's just like this big, crazy movie. And it is, it's so much ridiculousness. That's why it is, I think, super more important to just be able to sit back and watch the show, because it is all absurd. It's so ridiculous. But there's a point to it all. And the point being that to expose what the criminals have been doing so that we are a lot more, our attitude is more efficient to the general energy of response system, which would be the consequences, so that we're not fighting for the people who are hurting us. Instead, we're sitting back, you know, I don't know, chewing our nails, trying to figure out, like, what the fuck? And so but that is, to me, what is going on, is trying to get us to see so that we stop trying to fight against what is occurring, because that's what they have, is all these people who are been misled, who are fighting against what it is they're trying to do, which kind of is a hindrance, what kind of slows it down, because they create barriers and blockages of energy by not being on board. And the more of us that are on board, but see, they all get into this thing of like, oh, he's a dictator, and he's trying to do all this, and he's crazy. And then these people, these criminals in in all these areas of our control, then they all just go into this big whine. Oh, look what he's doing. Oh, poor me. It's like, well, you shouldn't be a criminal, I guess. You knew what was coming. So, which I think some of them, it's just a big show, too. It's not even the real person. It's somebody pretending to be them, or somebody in a mask or something. So anyways, but that seems like the phase we're in, is this big, you know, look at this, this is where your tax money is going. So anyways, but they said that this money that's coming back to us is TARRIF, you know, what our cut that we get from this new thing that he's doing or whatever, which I would say is to try and, you know, get us more on board of the changes that he's trying to bring into our world financially, because it's going to hurt a lot of people when things crash. People are not going to see it coming. is going to be unexpected for a lot of people. And so it is, and that is, to me, is the same thing as trying to get us to pay attention and see and start looking at things from a different perspective, so that it isn't such a dramatic situation. But I mean, it's going to be a dramatic situation. That's a part of what changes humanity, is this drama that's going to occur. So it's going to have drama, but they can try and reduce it, but there's still going to be drama. And so, and who knows what it is, you know, what it's going to be. Is it going to be these sleeper cells that are going to be going against us? Is it going to be, you know, civil between two sides, you know, the red and the blue? Is it going to, you know, who knows? This is the thing of just like, well, you're sitting back and watching it play out. It's like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And so we'll see what's going to happen next. But obviously yesterday when the dinar changed, it didn't all of a sudden just rock our world. But, you know, if he really is going to send out, that is like a little, you know, a start. It's a little drop in it's like a sand, one little pebble of sand on a fucking beach. So, but the big thing is, though, the huge portion of money that's coming back is to rebuild. It's not to just go out and support these corporations. And that's what we would have going right now. So it has to be a drop in the bucket. We can't go back into supporting the people who are trying to kill us. You know, we have to cut them off. And then we have to hold on to what we got. And then when their crash and burn occurs because we've pulled out, then then we have something to build back with. So it has to go this way. It's the only way that really makes sense, because if we were, you know, if they were just handing us over all this gold and shit like that, then we would be supporting the people who were out to get us. And we wouldn't be learning and growing from the situation. And that's what this big part of what's happening for humanity is, the big pulling free, is this big change in our attitudes in our lives and stuff. So it has to go down this certain way. But yeah, there's going to be tons and tons of money that are going to come in to the rebuilding, which is going to get people more set up. And you know, there will be people who, you know, like if you are, say you are, one that always stands out to me are these people, seamstresses and designers, but not ones that work for, you know, the system, ones that are independent, ones that have been, you know, there's tons of them on TikTok and stuff. Like they upcycle, they go and get things at the thrift store, and then they make outfits, they do all sorts of stuff. Okay, so let's say you're one of those people, because there's a bunch of them. And the corporation that has been supplying us with their, you know, petroleum gloves are going to, you know, crash and burn. And because they've been using slave labor and a lot of stuff. And, you know, why do we need clothes made out of plastic anyway? And that messes with our vibration. And then it probably, with the chemicals that they tell us to wash the clothes in, probably even add into why people get the big C and stuff like that. But because of the toxin overload. But but say you're one of these people who have put all your energy into doing this, and you've been just doing it online and doing a little here and there, and you've been selling a little here and there. But then when the communities start feeding back into people like that have something to bring to the table, then there's going to be, you know, how much do you think you need? And what could, you know, and are you going to have employees? And, you know, so helping those people build up, and not build up into the corporate level. Everything is going to be more mom and pop, small business, local. Everything is going to be a lot more, you know, buy local and, support your community and building community and stuff. So, but there will also, people will be able to sell online, because there will be some people who will get popular. And so there will be, you won't be just designated to one area, but there will be money that will go into certain communities that will help certain people who have something to bring to the table, help them build up so that they can be productive in the community, so they can really, and it's going to be, because even like people who make clothes, at some point they're going to need fabrics, they're going to need stuff. So there's going to be more things, like a union between, people who are doing this part and people who are doing that part, like people who are into agriculture and people who are into seeds or something. So there's going to be this combo, this coming together with people, and then the shift in the money is going to go into building up these things. So like teachers coming together, and people who want to teach. It's not going to be so much about certificates and licenses and stuff. Those have been all kind of restrictive and limiting, but it's going to be more of building it up, and so it gives people opportunity, but it gives people opportunity into doing stuff that gives back to them in an energetic way, instead of giving it back to them in a monetary, very controlled factor where they are inflating faster than you can keep up. And so it's the shift that brings it back to like center point. And so then it's like a starting over, but going in a better direction. So people who have been putting into what it is they enjoy, what it is they like to do, and networking and coming together, that is going to start going up. And so, and then that will give people more opportunities to go in and learn. There'll be young girls who'll be like, instead of going to college, they'll be like, well, I'm going to go over and work at this guy's place and learn how to make clothes for people and become a designer and make things and stuff. So, but it's going to be a lot. It's not going to be the same corrupt system. It's going to be a lot more small scale. Like, it's going to be people who are more focused on building themselves up rather than trying to take advantage of others. And so that's going to be a big part of the shift is, and that's why, it's important to start putting our energy towards that, towards building yourself up and get out of these toxic entanglements. And because there is so much of taking from other people. And so, and this is something that I found this interesting this morning. So, I've talked about this property that my dad had. And so, some people know like the more background of my family life. And so I'll just do like a little synopsis kind of thing. But so when I was a kid, or when I was born, I was born to somebody who was a child, and that they had taken a pill that would get rid of me, but it didn't work. And so I still came out. And then back in those times, a lot of parents forced their kid to, the shotgun wedding kind of situation. And so that is what my situation was. So it didn't work. I was still in there. So then it was like, well, you're going to have to do this. And so, so they got married. And my mom was super young. When she got pregnant with me, she was 16. When she had me, she turned 17 a few days later. So she was a kid. And then, so I mean, you know, what can you expect from a kid as a parent? And but that didn't make it any different for being the kid of the kid, because you still had an expectation, because especially everybody else around you. And so, and then my dad, he was an alcoholic from, you know, I mean, he was alcoholic the whole time since I was born. He was alcoholic before I was born. And, but there is still something even more shady with them. Like my dad's secret life, you know, who knows what he was hiding from, but something. And it started even when he was younger and he joined into the service. And when he joined into that, then he got dishonorable discharge, and he never told anybody why. And so we've always speculated, especially knowing more of his history, you know, like, was he going after the general's daughter? Was he going after the general's wife? Like, what the hell was he doing to get himself into that kind of trouble? So he, but he did. And then he went and was in his cool-ass car, because he was good with cars. And he did have a cool-ass car. And he was with one of those, you know, the James Dean kind of guys, all lined up in front of the high school in their cool-ass cars as the young, cute girls were coming out and revving up their engines and giving them rides home and stuff. And so my mom was one of the young, cute girls walking out, and he was one of the guys with a super cool car. And so I ended up married, and but it was never, you know, a solid marriage. He always had a roving eye. He was always drunk, and so he could be quite violent. And so it was very chaotic. My life growing up was very chaotic. But he was a good businessman, because people are not just one thing. You're a multiple, you know, you've got good and bad. And he was a really good businessman. But he also, I know that he had some shady relationships. Like he, you know, like his friend group, I don't know, it was like he became a part of a cabal kind of situation, but he was always like he wasn't like the upper crust guy. He was like yeah, we'll get him to do it. And so he was very gangsterish. And so, but he had he had a really successful business that he had created. And so, but he also moved us around all the time. So we moved constantly. I was always moving schools, so I never really got to make relationships. I always had to move. And so it was just like little places, and you're always, when you did make friends, you were always having to leave them. And so it was that really created a lot of insecurity in me, you know, always being the new kid, and never getting to make friends, and it was hard. And so then when he but he was becoming more successful, and that's how we ended up moving into that big house. It was a really big house where everybody at school thought I was the richest kid, and until this other kid moved into our school, and he was really rich. And then it was like, you know, like people thought I was a rich kid, because people would tell me that all the time. And so, and I would have, like, you know, all the popular kids were always nice to me, but I was super insecure. I always felt like You know, people just don't know how crazy my house is, how crazy my dad is. And at this point, you know, he's also a pedo. And so I was just like, people just don't know. It's like you have this big secret you're trying to hide behind. And I was super insecure. I was super quiet, except for I was also the cut up. And so I couldn't, you know, like something, I thought was something, I would just say it, blurt it out, and then everybody would start laughing. And so then I get sent to the principal and have to go get licked. So I would get in trouble all the time. It's like these two things going back and forth. And so, because it's like the quiet kid is going down and getting licks, but I wasn't just the quiet kid. I was also, you know, out on the smoking porch. And so, and anyways, but it wasn't like I wasn't liked at school, you know. And then but my mom wasn't an alcoholic. And so there was like a balance in our life where it wasn't totally out of control all the time. And so it was I don't know. It's like, you know, she kept it going so that we could move forward. I don't know. I really have no idea. Because my dad was definitely the business person. And my mom would be like, we're not that rich. We don't have that much money. It's, you know, it was like living off credit or something. And so, but my dad knew how to work that system. And so, but when that marriage fell apart and they got divorced, then he got together. My mom went and got together with the guy who came out to do our floor when we had a leak at our house. All of a sudden, she's together with him, and he's way young, and he has kids, and that whole thing turned into chaos. And then my dad got together with his longtime girlfriend. So he had this girlfriend for a long time. And my mom had caught him a bunch of times. But he was also a womanizer. So it wasn't like he wasn't loyal to his girlfriend either. He wasn't loyal to anybody. And so but when he got together with her, she was also like him. So it was two alcoholics getting together. So it went into full-blown chaos. It was so fucking chaotic. And it was the craziest world to be in their world. And I couldn't be at my mom's world. I mean, I went and was at my mom's world for a short time, but it would always fall apart because her husband was the age of the guys who I was dating. I was 16, going out with 26-year-olds, and here he was, 28 years old, trying to tell me what to do. I was like, no, you're not telling me what to do. And he was also a drinker. And so it was just like everything was just so chaotic at the time. And my mom had talked so much about my dad's girlfriend that we were very resentful of that whole situation. And then plus, we had not been around a woman who acted like her before. And so we were very, I don't know, we were kind of like snooty kids towards her, you know, and she's like from, you know, a South small town kind of. And so we were, you know, snooty. And I was mean as fuck to her. I did lots of mean shit. But it was very chaotic. And that's when my dad went through all his money. He had oil well, he just blew it all. And she, you know, at the time, you know, we were very mad at her because it was constantly, you know, her getting a new ring, her getting a new car. She had to spend money on this, on that. She would waste and waste and waste. And it was, and my mom wasn't wasteful like that. And it was just like so we were always so pissed. She was like our arch nemesis, man. It was like, oh, couldn't stand her. And so anyways, and then the things kind of went awry for, you know, I mean, by the time we were all, because, let's see, I got kicked out when I was 17. He got me an apartment. But then everybody from high school would come over and party at my apartment, and somebody started on fire. And so the apartments kicked me out. It wasn't like a big fire, but it was some fire in the kitchen. And so the apartments kicked me out. And I think probably because of all the partying and stuff. And so so he had me move back in with them. So I stayed with them through my senior year, and a little bit through, because I turned 17 after I graduated. And then, oh, wait a second. So I was 16 when I got that apartment. So I was 16 when he got me that apartment. So when they kicked me out of the house and said, you can't live here anymore, he went and got me an apartment. And so I was 16, and that was when I was a senior in high school. So then when I graduated, I turned 17. And then, or did I turn 18? Was I 17 and then I turned 18? So I was 17 years old when I graduated. Yeah, that must be it. I was 17 years old when I graduated. Then I turned 18 after I got out of school. And back then, the drinking age was 18. But, I mean, there was the alcohol at my dad's house. Like, there was always alcohol at my dad's house, so that was easy to get a hold of anyways. But so so I had the apartment. So then I was staying with them, and then, so I must have stayed through the summer. I don't know, it was very chaotic back then, because then I ended up going back to my mom's, because I know I was at my mom's when I went to hair school, because my dad said, you know, I had to choose something. I had to get a job or go to school. I had to do something. And I had no idea what to do. So I said, some girl I knew said she was going to hair school, and I got hair school with her. So I was like, well, okay, I'm going to hair school. I'd gone down to the junior college because I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to help kids that had problems. And then when I went and found out it was 7 more years of school, and I was a horrible student, I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. They didn't have the peer counselors then. Now you can have peer counselors, people who have gone through stuff, and then they talk to you. But back then it wasn't. You had to have a degree. And so I went to hair school. Then I know I moved back at my mom's because I would walk with her. We would walk 4 miles to hair school and walk 4 miles home. I was in really good shape then. And but once we were gone, so I don't think I ever went back to my dad's no, because I was at my dad's some at that, because that one of the girls from hair school is when he came out and started totally embarrassing me, asking me and my friend to have a threesome. Oh my God, Dad was so embarrassing. Oh my God, he humiliated me all the fucking time. And yeah, because I was still there, because when I had a birthday party, and all of my friends from out at the club had come. So yeah, it was, I was still going back and forth there, because I could not get along with my stepdad or my stepmom. And so, and then my parents picked the step parent over, you know, they were like, they weren't going to be like, oh, well, my kids are having a problem, so you need to go until my kids grow up. No, it wasn't like that. And so I was going back and forth. But at some point, we were all gone. But I was horrible to my stepmom. I wasn't great to my stepdad either, but eventually, you know, he stayed around for a long time. Eventually, he quit drinking, and we were friendly for, you know, once he became an adult, and he was friends with my husband and stuff. So anyways, but that didn't go with my dad, because my dad continued to drink. Him and his wife continued to spiral, and they got involved with drugs and everything. And but my dad, and I stopped talking to my dad. And so I had written him one of those letters. It was popular back then. You know, you didn't protect me. I needed protection from you. I can't be around you, all that stuff. So I stopped talking to him. So it was a big popular thing that everybody's doing, cutting these people out of their lives. I did that back then to my dad. And then, and during that time, his whole life was falling apart. And he was ended up in a hospital all the time. He was going to die. He was beaten up. He was in liver failure. It was just one thing after another. And then that was also because he had also come out to California, but he was just so fucking drunk, and I couldn't have him around my kids. He couldn't stay at my house, so he had to stay at a hotel, and then he would come over in the daytime, but my kids weren't there. And because there's no fucking way I'd leave him around my kids. Like, no fucking way. I am shocked at people who do that, who are like, yeah, my dad's a molester, but I trust him with my kids. It's like, what the hell? What? That is weird. So anyways, but I was like, fuck no, you're not being around my kids. And I'd tell my brothers, don't let your kids be around dad. Don't let, you better be there the whole time. And so anyways, that's when he, told my boyfriend, oh, wouldn't you be better off not being with this lady with kids and stuff? So, and he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. And he leaves. And so my dad was just bringing me more devastation at the time. And so then he ran out of money, I guess. And then I said, well, you're not coming and staying here. You better find your way home because you're not coming here. And so he left from California and went back to Texas, went back to whatever problems he'd gotten himself into. And I know he was like running from the IRS at the time because he's telling me, if somebody comes up looking for you, you never say who you are. And so, I ended up using that later. But so he did have some good life lessons out there. But him and his wife stayed in this very chaotic way for a long time. And it just went on, and then he became with like no money and stuff like that. And but then he always was able to bring himself back up. I think that's something he taught me. But you can lose it all, but you just bring yourself back. You don't stay. You can't stay down in the dumps. You have to climb back out. And so he did have good life lessons. He did teach us a lot of stuff. And which I know he's still around. And so, and I don't remember what it was, why I started speaking to him again. I know that there was something, there was a family reunion, and then we were in Texas for that, and then I ended up going and seeing him, and I went out on his property, and him and his wife, and they weren't so dramatic then. But he was still drinking, but maybe she had quit drinking. I'm not really sure. But anyways, so I was around her, I wasn't a crazy teenager anymore. And then, but then I wasn't around them for a long, long time until he got sick and he was dying. And when he was, because he went for most of his life on 1%. They said he had like 1% liver function. He lived for 20, 30 years on 1% liver function and drank the whole time. That's what I reminded my brother too when I was there. I said, don't forget whose genes you got. Like, don't forget what our dad is capable of. You're capable of some shit too, so don't give up on yourself. And so, but then when he got, then he started getting the big C's. And so he started getting that all, and so then it started eating up his liver. And which is so crazy now, because now it's like, fuck, you could have taken some different cleanses. There's a lot of stuff you could have done, and he'd probably still be around. But anyways, but we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And so, but then when I went and was around them, then again, it was much more pleasant. And then I even talked to my stepmom. Once he was gone, I even went back and did a little funeral with her friends and stuff, or his friends. We had a little memorial service for him and a little dinner thing. And so we, you wouldn't think like, we were arch nemesis back when I was growing up, because there was this huge gap of our relationship. And so there was nothing that was going on then. And then when I came back with empathy and compassion for what she was going through, losing her life partner, no matter how chaotic their life was, it was her life partner. And so I started having empathy and compassion. And I started, melting my heart or softening. And then, and letting go of resentment and anger, and, because you can hold on to these things like, you took all this from me, and I would be further ahead. I would have all the stuff that you think. And so letting go of those things and just being like, it is what it is. And, and having compassion for what she was going through. And so then we talked for a few times, even at the beginning of quarantine. And I had talked to her and I said, whatever you do, do not take any of those things that they're going to try and push on you. And she's like, really? Don't do that? And I was like, no, do not do that. And so I know I had talked to her at that point. Anyways, then, we were just all going about our lives. Things got crazy during quarantine. We had big problems. People's relationships were falling apart. We were in total chaos all the fucking time. Ever since, it's just been total chaos. The Great Divide began. And so it was a lot of, splitting apart in our relationships with people. And so, isolating us into finding ourselves. And during all that, then I didn't so much have contact with her. And so anyways, we didn't think anything else about it. I mean, it was her property. It was where she lived with my dad, and that's where she was. Her son was in prison. But the last time I had talked to her, he was fixing to get out and stuff. So then it was like, well, I didn't want to be talking, calling and still, because then I didn't want anything to do with him, because he's been pretty basically long-term criminal. And this is a big thing too, is I think so many people parent out of guilt. And you've got to let go of guilt as a parent. You've got to find that you did the best you could. And, and people feel shame and guilt. That's one of the big thing that eats at older people. And these people who are blowing off these older people don't realize how much they're so holding on to so much pain inside themselves, and how mad they are at themselves for stupid mistakes they made as a parent, because they haunt you. But you have to learn to forgive yourself. You have to learn to let things go. You can't be living off of guilt, because then the other person will feed off of guilt. That's another toxic relationship. And so you're not helping that person. You're feeding into their dysfunction. So you're feeding the dysfunction rather than healing the dysfunction. And so they learn to take advantage, then they learn to hold on to their anger and hold on to their resentment and make you the fall guy. And so you have to stand up for yourself, not, fight and battle with them, but in your own mind of letting go and being like, okay, I did the best I could. If they're going to hold on to this, that's, we all make our life choices. And so you can't feed into their life choices. That's like got a 600-pound person laying on a bed asking you to feed them, and you're running out and making a breakfast. It's like, no, get up. You want to eat, get up and feed yourself. And, maybe that walk will help you out a little bit, because that happens. It's very dysfunctional, and people do that. And it's kind of like the people who do it are over the other people, and the people don't realize. It's such a it's such a toxic combination. But anyways, you have to come right in your own mind over guilt. You can't live off of parenting somebody, especially an adult, and thinking that everything that they've got wrong with them is your fault. It's like, no, we all make our life choices. We all have choices to make every day. And when somebody is continuously making bad life choices for themselves, don't feed into that. And don't feed into that delusion. It's not your fault. And because we all are handed hardships for us each to overcome. So all of the things that are handed to us as kids are the obstacles for us to overcome. And when somebody is not overcoming it and they're just standing on the other side of the hurdle, telling you the hurdle's too high, it's your fault, the hurdle's so high, it's like, no, you got to start believing in yourself and figure out how to get the fuck over that hurdle. And it's not my fault, you know. I got over it. I got over my hurdles, and then you have to get over yours. And so it's, you know, you can't sit here and be like, okay, well, here, let me throw you a rope. Here, let me pull you over. Let me do what I can do. Because then it's like you going into your ego, like you've got to save them. You got to save them. And then it starts this toxic kind of complex where it almost is like a savior complex, but you have to believe in the person is able to get over the stuff themselves. You did not break the person. Even though you can feel like that, and your guilt can be fucking telling you, your shame can be beating you down. You broke them. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault they've done this. It's your fault they've done that. But you can't feed into that. And so, I don't know. You know, this is just stuff that comes to me. I don't know if this is what's occurring, but it feels like that is an occurrence that is happening in her life. And, you know, when somebody is coming out of, you know, the pen and, you know, then they are, you know, and there is, you know, I mean, there is hurdles to get over. Like, you know, it is hard to find a job, but that is where you're like, well, I'm going to learn how to do something. I'm going to start something up myself. And like HVAC, there's a huge shortage in HVAC right now. And all these men who are retiring from these certain jobs, there's nobody to replace them because they've got everybody in fucking universities getting fucking papers on gender identity. So so there's real skilled jobs out there that people can be going and learning. So they can't stop you from learning, and they can't stop you from building your own little business up, and you going out and being a good service person and getting a good reputation, and more people having you come out to do the work. And especially when there's a position there's a shortage, then that opens the door even more for you. And not everybody, like I've had servicemen come out and I haven't said, hey, do you got any, what's your criminal background? You know, usually you just let them into your house and say, fix the thing. And so, you know, there's a trust thing, and that is where you don't want to break that trust either. If you are a criminal coming out and you want to do that, then you don't start seeing, hey, you know, I can take advantage of these people opening their doors to me. Look what they got. Look what they got. You know, you got to stay in your purity of heart and work towards what it is you want, not take from other people, because then you are getting yourself into another karmic situation of what you're putting out is going to come back on you, and things are not going to go good for you. And so when you're taking advantage of people and hurting people, it's going to come back on you. And so anyways, but it's weird because I've heard of these stories before where old people have been very isolated and they've been surrounded by people who are trying to take advantage of them, and you can't get through to them. You can't talk to them. There's always somebody, you know, in the room. There's always somebody blocking the conversation. And I've heard these stories, but usually, you know, you hear them and it's like a rich person. Like I remember Casey Kasem. I think it was a big one that I was hearing about. And he had gotten divorced and gotten remarried. So he had older kids. There was like at the age of his wife or something. And then it was something about, you know, she started isolating him and wouldn't let his kids get to him and wouldn't let his kids help him and stuff. And then I don't know if she got all the money left to her. I don't even know all this stuff. But this is kind of, you know, what some of these people do and taking advantage. And it's a crime. It's literally a crime to do these things, take advantage of older people. And so, but her life, you know, is going on just the way it was, you know. We were out of the picture until the hand of God swept in, because that's how I see it. I see my dad's up there, you know, from the great beyond, and everything happens the way it's supposed to happen for a reason. And So, we're all sitting here, none the wiser. And, we've all got our own life struggles. And then we get notified that we own half of this property. And she's trying to make a move, but she can't make any moves unless we sign off on it. So we're just like, what? What? We're all kind of like, well, what the hell? And so it's been kind of like this big whirlwind because of these people who are around her that are trying to take advantage of her. And then all of a sudden, here comes here comes Dick's kids, and they are not going to allow this. We're not going to let you take advantage of her. And then some of us can see right through what you're doing, and we know that it's a crime, and we know that you're not doing this. And this is the thing that I was finding fascinating, because this was like my arch nemesis as a child. And here I am now in this new role of trying to protect her. And it's very cleansing. I swear to God, it is so cleansing to my soul. It is wild. And it's like something I did not see coming. It's almost making me want to cry right now. And I did not see it coming. And I know to her, because, she is a country girl, and I don't know, I don't know that she even finished high school. I don't know. And, she was a border town. And back in the day, a border town back in the deep South, wasn't known for its education, and it was a simple life. And people who live a simple life will go out into the world of, the criminal enterprise that can swallow you and chew you up. And so I think, she's so used to not having people around her that she can trust, that this is very difficult on her. And that she doesn't, and they're telling her, we're the ones that are out to get her. And no, we're the ones that are here to protect her. And besides the fact that I swear to God, my dad's back over here on my shoulder. It's like, he was always like that. Oh, go tell her you're sorry. You've got to be there for her, and so I know, our role is to be there for her and protect her, not be another person to take advantage of her. Okay, yeah, let's just hurry up, sell this, take our cut, and get the fuck out of here, and you're screwed. You're a homeless person now. And so, no, we are going towards this whole thing of protecting her and going against these people. And even this morning when I tried to call, because I was supposed to call and talk to her, because now we're getting a realtor involved, and I know, tons of people, like from California and stuff, tons of people are moving to Texas, and places like her, 6 acres out in the country, right next to the lake, tons of people want to go out there and live like that. And and they're bringing in cash in hand, they're ready to go. And so and then these people who are trying to take advantage of her, who are trying to lowball her, and you're going to get her in a fucking hole, man. And it's so aggravating to watch. And then to know, your own kid is doing it. Your own kid's a part of this. At some point, when does your kid step in and start taking care of you? Like, you're in your motherfucking 80s and you're still trying to take care of that. Like, bullshit on that, man. And so, anyways, that is this experience that I'm going through now, is this arch rival, my arch nemesis from when I was a kid, who seemed to destroy my life back then. It was just not one. There was a lot of destruction back when I was a kid. And, she was just another one of the destructors. But but then to go full circle into forgiveness and compassion, and then get to this point of like being, there to protect her and to be caring, and it makes you just feel so good. Oh my God, I'm telling you, it is so cleansing to your soul. It's such a huge transformation to let go of resentment and anger and all your bitterness. And even when you have reasons, like I said, I was telling, I had lots of reasons. I could sit there and hold on to those with every bit of my might. Oh, fuck them, fuck her. She's getting what she deserves, you know. But it is very cleansing to not do that, to let it go, to move forward, move through that energy and cleanse it off of you. And then get to this point of like doing good for somebody who you felt did you wrong. And it's not out of ego, but it's out of compassion and out of like, you know, people deserve better. I can look at her now as like somebody different than I looked at her as a kid, you know? And it very much feels good. You know, and you do have your ghost dad over there behind you, you know, proud of you, not fighting against you, because that's another thing too, is people don't realize, like, you're fighting your own ghost, you know, when you're going against things. And I know my dad was very protective of her our whole fucking lives. So that's what he would have the expectation that we would continue. And plus my dad would never motherfucking make this deal. My dad was a businessman, like that's for sure. And and he had enough shady inside of him that he could recognize it. Like he would no fucking way make this deal with these people. And that was one thing I was going to tell her this morning. It was like, well, you know, you got dick skids on now. So, and we were trained by that man, and you're not making a bad deal. So, yeah, there's no fucking way we're dealing with these people. And even if they are sitting there putting all this pressure, telling you, you know, you're fucked, you're not going to get any other deal. It's like, well, we're going to see. We'll see. We'll see what this realtor says. We'll see what's coming. And because I think that, you know, heaven sent, there's going to be something good that's going to come from it. And it's waiting around the wings, and it's going to help her and get her out of this mess, out of this space where she's surrounded by these people who are taking advantage of her. And I know her own son is a part of the whole thing. And it's like, you know, when you are trying to take advantage, when you hold all this resentment towards your parent and you're trying to take advantage of them and blaming them and stuff and not stepping up, that's on you, you know, literally, that's on you. Yeah, it is a part of our life cycle is to go through the cycles of letting go and forgiveness. It's a big part of our lessons and our cycles of existence to bring our vibration up. And you can feel it, like it feels good. Like it feels so good. It feels like, gosh, it feels like I've got a purpose to help somebody, to do something good for somebody, to protect somebody. And even if they weren't there to protect me, I can give something back that, you know, and maybe, you know, my role is giving something that helps them to forgive themselves too. Like you don't even know what's going on with the other person, if that's what it's showing them. But that is another thing too, is where you can't hold on to your own hatefulness. You got to go with the transits in the orbit of what is coming in for you. So it's there to help you grow and help you let go of things. And that's a big part. And this was something I saw somebody saying yesterday. So it was a lesbian lady, and she had broken up with her partner, and they had a dog. And so she was in court trying to either get visitation or get the dog. And so this dog was a battle between these two people. And so, you know, they broke up, and the lady who had the dog at the time said, well, the dog ran away. It's no longer here. So sorry, you know, the dog's gone. So the lady was all like upset, and, you know, and so now it's been years. It's been like 5 years. And she said that she had a job that she had to go out and do. And it was 2 hours from home. So she had to go 2 hours from where she lived to go to this job. She pulls up at this job and pulls in the parking lot. And she gets out of her car and she looks across the street, and there's a house over there with a yard, and this dog is out playing. And she's like, I swear to God, that looks like my dog. looks like my dog, only an older version. So she just keeps staring and staring at this dog until the lady comes walking out. And guess who comes walking out of the house to be with the dog? Yep. And so the girl is just utterly confused. Like, why would this happen? What is the chances of this? Like, years after this, and I'm hours away from home, and I'm just happen to get out of my car at the same time that my dog is out there playing in the yard. She comes out. Like, the timing on everything was so fucking instrumental. It was like perfection, which that is the universe. That is the universe. That's why you don't need to sit here and question. You don't need to get out there and try and, put a fire under the universe. Like, the universe has got it handled. It knows what it's doing. It's got it under control. And so she's like so confused. Like, why would this be? How could this be? Like, what am I supposed to do with this information? And I left a comment, and I was like, well, everything that has been hidden in the dark is coming to the light. The light is coming in to reveal the truth to us all. And the truth is there to heal you. And so whatever it is that you need to process, that's what it is. It's a processing. It's not like you have to be like, okay, because there was people in the comments, call the cops, do this, do that, get them back, get her, steal the dog, and all this stuff. Because people are programmed into avenging, revenge, and bitterness, and hatefulness, and, get even. And, but really, it's the big reveal. It's the big reveal. And in the big reveal, you got to see yourself. And are you a bitter, hateful person? Are you somebody who needs to live off of revenge and get even with people? And so, but I would assume that through that scenario is going to be bringing up, because it's just the picture, and then you go and try and rest, and then all of a sudden the universe starts hitting you with, oh, remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this, and then it starts the whole it's the wheel in motion of processing. And that's where you got to slow it down. You can't feed into the energy of resentment and anger. Okay, lady, you got to slow it down, and you got to process and let go of things. And so I thought that was just fascinating. That and I've been hearing so many crazy stories. There's so many crazy stories. And it's also, there's this person who keeps talking to me on that video. Oh, I don't even know if I had talked about this one, because this one was pretty trippy. Because this lady, so it was a girl who's a surfer, and she's in Southern California. And so she's wrote to one of these channels. Stella, stop a minute, okay? God, you're so dramatic. So there's these content creators that just tell supernatural stories and crazy stories and glitches in the matrix kind of stuff. And so this girl wrote her an email and said, this crazy story, I never tell anybody, and anybody I've told never believes me, but she said this really happened, and it was really weird, and I needed to say. And so I wanted to tell you because, whatever, she wanted to see what other people said, if the girl was going to do a story, if this girl had heard stories like this or whatever. I don't know the whole email, but so the girl did a story on this girl's story. And so the story was, so she's a surfer, and so she has a beach that she likes to, she has beaches, where she can go and there's nobody around usually. And so she goes for early morning surf, everything's beautiful. And she has this place, I can't remember where it was, like San Obispo, some place where it was kind of isolated, and you parked, and then you had to walk down like the cliffs, and then you get down to this beach, and there's like cliffs on both sides, so you have this very isolated kind of beach, and there's great waves and everything, which to me seems so motherfucking dangerous. Like, what the fuck with these surfers? You just go out in the fucking ocean with the fucking sharks by yourself like that? Or no, it seems mental. Like, what the fuck? But anyway, but that's not what the story's about. So she goes walking down and she starts feeling really weird. And so she's feeling weird. And then she sees this thing over hitting into the rocks from the water and keeps hitting and hitting. And so she's like, I wonder what that is. So she's going over there anyways to go to the water. And so she starts walking over there to see. When she gets up there, she sees it's a coffin. And she's like, weird, there's a coffin out here and it's up against this wood or whatever, up against these rocks. And the coffin's like this wood. And so right there, to me, it's like, well, right there, you'd think like that was an old-fashioned, this old coffin with wood. And so she said she was feeling really, really weird. And so then but she's compelled to open it. So she just is like, she just had to open it and see what was inside. So, and she said that it was a really weird smell too. So she opens it. It wasn't like the smell of death, but she said it was like a real mildewy kind of smell. So when she opens it, the body is perfectly intact. There's nothing, it's not waterlogged, nothing. It's perfect. And the only thing is it's very old-fashioned looking. So the girl inside is dressed like, she said, like a pioneer person. She's dressed old-fashioned. And so she's looking at her. When she opens it up, the woman's just like laying there like a dead person. And so she's looking at her, like, how weird. And then she looks back over at her face. The woman's eyes are open and looking at her now. And her eyes are completely black inside, she said. And she's looking right at her. And right when that happens, somebody comes up from behind and grabs her and starts attacking her. And I can't remember. It seems like she saw this woman some, but it was in this other woman. So this woman starts attacking her and trying to kill her. And so she's strangling her. She's doing all this stuff to try and attack her. And she said that the woman felt like ice cold. And there was another weird thing about the woman. I can't remember. It seems like she saw her eyes, and maybe she also had black eyes or something. There was weird stuff about this whole thing. So this woman's battling her. She's fighting this woman, and this woman ends up choking her out. And so she's unconscious. So she's laying there unconscious. And when she wakes up, then the woman's gone and the coffin's gone, and she sees drag marks. And so in the comments, there's all these people, trying to, there was some, it was a good idea to think like, oh, it's a drug situation. But, if it was, and that was a mule, and when they use the mules, like the dead bodies to stuff the stuff in, there would be more signs. It wouldn't open its eyes and look at you. And there would be more signs of bloat or decay, especially coming out of water. And so I was like, it's a vampire for sure. And that's the, Renford or whatever, that's the guardian of the vampire, because they've got to have a guardian. And so I was like, man, there's no way. That's a fucking vampire, and that's the guardian. And and in the comments, there was a bunch of people who had said the same thing. Oh, that's a vampire, and that's all different people. Everybody was calling it a different thing: a handler, a guardian, and but it's the same sense of like that's the vampire, and that's the person who's there to protect it. And so, and that they took it and drug it off to wherever it was that they were going to. And, however they were coming across, they were probably coming across from somewhere else. And then maybe their boat wrecked or something. I don't know. But anyways, but there's a few people who had come up with other ideas, like, oh, it's a drug situation, and that was one of the drug, the CARTLs that was trying to take you out and stuff like that to get their, product. And that's why they drug it off. And which I was like, God, that's pretty reasonable. That's reasonable, but I don't think that's what's going on. And so anyways, because of my comment, it's the same thing as that other one. What was that one that I made a comment, and I just constantly get these people commenting all the time on it, talking to me about my comment. It's the same thing. So in this one, I have these people commenting. And so I have this person, every day there's comments from them, and today they were talking again, and that they don't believe in supernatural, they need evidence, they need science and all this stuff. And today they even told me they were raised in a cult and they were expected to believe certain things, and they said that now that they've left all that life, that now they need evidence, and they don't believe that. They don't believe in the supernatural. They'd like to believe more in supernatural things, but they just don't, and all of this stuff. It's like, well, I 100% believe in the supernatural. And that, I've had supernatural experiences since I was 3 years old. And so I 100% believe in it. And, but we're all on our own life journey. We're all on our own, our own life path to learning what we're here to learn. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm not going to try and force you to believe. Don't go against your own beliefs to believe what I believe. You got to find what's in your heart to believe in what's in your heart. You don't just go, well, they said. It's like, what does your heart say? That's the big thing, is you got to find your truth. And you are here to learn about your truth. You're here to learn about your obstacles. You're here to overcome. You're here to become, the new revised version of self. And it's up to you to do the work on yourself. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Mrs. Drama, so we're going to go in and I did make I did cook that other squash this morning. My soup is almost gone. That soup was really, really good and so basic, so easy, which I saw somebody showing bags of rice. They were from India, and they were at, I think it was Costco, but they said Sam's Club. It looked like Costco. But anyways, is it that same thing? I don't even know. Is it one place, someplace? I don't know. But anyways, so they were looking at rice. They were doing the prices because the price keeps going up. They said it was like $17, then it was $19, then it was $20, now it's $22. And they were like, what the fuck? So they're looking at different rices, trying to figure out, and they found a couple that were way cheaper, and you got way more rice. And so then they were looking at the ingredients. It was insane. And they were made in America, but two of the big brands that he looked at had like 5 ingredients of additives and shit, bleaches and shit to do. And then when you go on to that rice that he's looking at from India, the only ingredient's rice. That's it, just rice. And so he's like, this is the problem in America, why people are so fat and stuff. Look at all this shit that they're putting in here over just rice. Why not just put rice? What the hell you got to add all this stuff in? So anyways, I think that's totally right. But, my soup was very small amount of ingredients because it was just squash, bone broth, and cream. And it was delicious, and salt, which I saw another thing talking about the Celtic and saying it's real heavy on lead. So I think it's better to get the Baja, the mineral. There's other ones besides the Celtic. So anyways, and I've got a whole bag of Celtic, but now it's like, fuck, man, you got to watch out for that shit. It's fucking full of lead. I'm off the test. And so, and see, that's why I got to get this water tested. I need to see what all it is in this water. And, but I bet you it's stuff that is good. I bet you it is drinkable, but I'm going to find out. Probably not today, but probably more when I leave to go to the store or something. And so that could be, the 7th if I open up my account and there's money in there, which will be a joy. But we'll see. I mean, there's been a lot of disappointment along this road. So don't put too much energy into it. Just if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it's another day. It's another day that, is always going to be there. So anyways, but I did cook these other little acorn squash, and I'm going to make this kind of like a banana bread or pumpkin bread. So it's kind of like that, only it does have a banana in it. And but it's kind of like pumpkin bread. So I'm going to make that this morning. It's not made yet, though. So we're going to have to go out there and find something to eat. There's Miss Drama over here. My stomach is growling. So anyways, but we'll see what this day brings us. And We'll see how everything plays out. Now we're midweek. It's so funny. The week's just flying by. It's just so crazy now. You know, we're in the first week of December, and before you know it, it'll be like next week, we'll be talking about, yeah, now it's January. It's just flying by. So anyways, we're on a time crunch, so I would definitely make the focus about you and work on yourself and learn how to love yourself, because it seems to be a real obstacle, a real problem in this world, to learn how to love yourself. So work on that. Learn how to love yourself, learn how to love everybody, because it is important, and learn how to have the day you want to have, because it does matter where you put your energy, what you look at, what you pay attention to is going to set the tone for your day. So learn to direct your energy of how you want to spend your day. And so we'll see what this day brings us. We'll see how it rolls out. So anyways, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.